Welcome, everybody. Hello, my name is Claire. You are listening to the Awakened Woman podcast on all your favorite platforms, and I'm so grateful to have you here today. I have got a cracker, and I know, ladies, you're going to listen to this and say every week she says she has a cracker. This is going to be a fun one. So you're going to hear some giggles, and you're going to hear some reassurance, because if you're a busy mum who's feeling a lot of stress and guilt right now, then we are here to help you. I have got a beautiful guest. So today we are all talking about the working mum balancing act. Okay, it's really important that we balance our energetics as well as all the things we do, because we are the pivotal piece of making everything keep together. So before I get started on what we're chatting about, I'm going to introduce you to a beautiful friend of mine. We met probably 5 years ago over our side hustle, and this woman is one of the most infectious people you will have. She's mostly amazingly positive and runs a beautiful Choice Club program for beautiful women. So Jodie Spinks, I would like to welcome you. Jodie, you are a holistic wellbeing coach, and your transformation over the last 5 years has been incredible, hasn't it?
Yes. Hey, Claire, thank you so much for having me here today. It just is an honor to be on your podcast. And I'm super excited to share things that have worked for us personally, so that your listeners can really relate to that and know that they're not alone on this journey.
I feel like we've had so many chats and probably got about 4 seasons of podcasts over our time together that we
Yep.
could really put into perspective. So, Jodes, in a nutshell, who are you? Who is Jodie Spinks?
So I am a midlife woman. I live in rural Victoria. I have 3 teenagers and a husband that, keep me very well occupied. So we run a traditional business in the construction industry, and I myself run a coaching business. And from my title, you can guess holistic wellbeing coach. I'm really about supporting women in all aspects of their life. So their mental health, physical health, financial health, spiritual health, all of it. And that's why I love that word holistic, because you can work in little pockets of your life, but it all has to kind of come together in a beautiful, completed puzzle for you to be where you want to be. So yeah, I'm absolutely just love what I do, and I feel blessed to work with so many women on a daily basis. And we got to meet through this. So
We did, and it's so exciting. And Jodes and I are so similar in so many ways. I'm in Melbourne. We're both in Victoria. I'm about 4 hours away from Jodes, so I don't get to see Jodes as often as I'd like to. But what Jode's mantra is for everyone that is listening is something that is so imperative, because the holistic way of looking at it is so important in terms of generating abundance, generating energetics, trying to flick the switch between that negative, that wounded feminine, which I've spoken about before, and that divine feminine. It can be really difficult. You add kids, you add husbands, you add businesses, you add side hustles, you add all of those into the mix, and suddenly, again, as a mum, we are the last rung on the ladder, yet we are the glue that holds it all together. So I hope for you, and my intention for you today listening to this podcast, is that you feel that you are comforted, not put off by people that are on Instagram, because we all get put off. Jodes, we're the same. We feel the pressure of having to be coaches and mums and entrepreneurs, and everyone seems to be finding a quick fix. Jodes and I are here to show you that nothing is a quick fix. We are the long-term game. It's taken Jodes and I multiple title changes to get here. We started off as mums, we started off as business owners. Now we've gone through coaches and mindset and happiness, and now we've stuck with what we're working with. We've had trial and error. So what intention is to just listen to some code words that you're going to hear in today. Find comfort that you are not alone, and also hear the tips that are really practical, because Jodes and I haven't got time for long-winded tips and practicality. It doesn't work with us. If we're not interested, Jodes, we don't.
We're out.
We just don't stick around, and that's because we're busy people. Jodes and I both come from a corporate background, so ticking boxes is something that's important to us, and for us to break away from that, to feel that creativity is important. So we know, and Jodes, when you coach your women, what are some of the biggest challenges that they come to you with?
Right now, the biggest one is stress. Yeah. And different levels of stress and where that stress is coming from. And I think the first step to dealing with the obstacles of stress is really acknowledging how big of an issue it is, because as women we kind of sweep things under the rug and we're like, we've got this, I can do this, I can be all the things, I can try and be superwoman, and it's not till those cracks start appearing, and that can look like illness, or discomfort in the body, until you finally go, I'm actually laid out on the couch for a week and I can't do what I'm going to do. So stress is definitely the biggest one that I see at the moment, and I'm really passionate about teaching women simple steps to overcome that don't cost you anything. You don't need to look outside of yourself all the time for the answers. And I think when we've got so much around us online and books and people and all this noise, we're always looking outside of us for the answer, thinking something's going to fix me. I need to be fixed. Something's wrong, get it fixed. Let me move on. I need this to be quick. But it's when you look inside yourself and you start just doing those small daily habits that both of us have been using for the last few years. I know 10 years ago I would not have known any of them, did not use them. I was in a world of hurt over here in stay-at-home mum land, and I kind of look back now and who knows whether I would have been ready to hear it or not, but I didn't realize that such simple things like the journaling and the breathing, and the pausing in your day can have such a big impact on you mentally and physically. So stress is definitely the biggest issue at the moment, I see.
Yeah, and I feel like we as women have never been taught to deal with stress, because I feel like we are the generation that is stuck, and you've seen some posts on Instagram and it really resonated, is that we are stuck in this generation of being opportunistic. We can work from home, have full-time jobs, have side hustles, yet we're dealing with traditional roles at home. And that is something that really struck with me. And anyone that's listening, you'll know that over the last 2 years, I've gone through some of the lowest of lows, and having to rebuild connections in a lot of different parts of my life. It's taken a lot to get to where I am today. And it's having conversations about those roles. It's having those conversations, being brave enough as a woman to share how you're feeling. Like you said, Jodes, without being fixed. You just want to be able to feel safe enough to vent. And that is where community comes in, whether it's school mums, it's your friends, it's your partner, it's side hustle people, people at work. You must have a circle around you that you feel safe enough venting to without them coming back to you with a solution. Because that's stuck emotion, that's stuck energy in you that needs to come out. When I build it all up, when I keep pushing it down, I explode and an emotional breakdown happens.
Yeah.
That's how my emotions deal with it. I will have a breakdown over nothing. It'll be not being able to open Glad Wrap or something that just won't work. And it will throw me into a spin. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's that alignment of really feeling into what is important in your life, and who are you, the things that aren't important, why are you doing them? Are you doing them to please family members? Are you doing them because you don't know any different? I really want women to understand you need to be brave and work out that doesn't fit into what I want to do. Everyone else around me will still be safe, still be fed, still be looked after. It's okay for me to say no. And Jones, we know what it's like to not have that boundary, because we were people pleasers, master gold star diamond encrusted back in the day, weren't we? We really struggled, don't we?
Oh, yes, for sure. And I think so many women will relate to that, people pleasers. I don't know what the actual percentage of women are people pleasers, but I'd say it's pretty up there, from, just from a young age and how we've been raised and things like that. But it's just, we're definitely the queens of queens of that. And yeah.
And it's all coming down to, we want to make life easy for those around us, right? We want our kids to be comfy. We want to have them come from a really great, nurturing place. But when we overdo it, it creates so much stress, because we can't then ask for help. We feel guilty then for asking for help, because we feel we're going to be judged. We're not going to be a good enough mum. We can't hold our house together. No one across the street is giving a damn about you more than you are giving a damn about you. And I think that real balance between generations is at the tipping point at the moment. And we are, especially our generation, we're 80s kids as well, where coming from the power era of when our mums probably were the first lot to work full time, you know, and coming from dual income, it was difficult then, but we've carried that through, and we can just be so much more balanced in our life that we can earn money any way we can, Jones. And this is where you're an expert in terms of holistic wellbeing. We need to be more educated on what we can do to contribute, and is it feeling good for what I want it to do, and is it good for my family? Because sometimes we don't realize that impact, do we?
Yeah, that is such a big topic. And I think the key word you said there was feeling safe to talk to people about things, like you said before, feeling safe to explore different options, feeling safe to ask yourself, you know, what is working in my life and what isn't working? Like, what can I let go of to create space and create more contentment and satisfaction and joy in our lives? And that's why I feel like community and getting around women, like learning from you, myself, learning from women around me, whether that's not even people in your physical circle in your hometown, that can be online communities, it can be online networking areas. But I feel like when you can be surrounded by women riding the same storm, as they say, that'll make you feel safer to make those decisions as well, which will really benefit yourself. And then that flow-on effect, that ripple effect that you're always talking about to your family.
Yeah, it is.
Because they can't be happy when you're constantly cranky mum. You know, it just doesn't work.
And what I come back to my clients is that when they're so filled with guilt and indecision because they're worried about what their mum is going to say, they're going to worry about what their partner will say, is if your child showed those same habits, patterns, thoughts, conversation, would you pick that up and correct it? Because my bottom line is 100% out of 100, you will have corrected that in your kid or pulled them up in your children, but you won't do it with you. Because you're so worried about, what if I change? What is that going to look like for my relationship? What if I change? What is that going to mean in this dynamic? What if you don't change? You know, what if you don't deal with your guilt? What if you don't take the chance? What if you don't be brave? You're the risk of you staying exactly where you are. You're a smart woman. No one can muck things up too bad.
Yeah.
You know, they're the challenges, and it comes down to bravery and confidence and courage. You know, and Jodes, your word behind you right now, for those that are listening, Jodes has the word choice behind her. And it is all about choice, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. There was a pivotal moment in my life in 2016 when I discovered the word choice. And it was a quote by Jack Canfield. Those of you, you know, may have heard of him. He's an incredible speaker, writer, incredible man. And he says in a book of his that it's, now the quote's gone out of my head, but it's pretty much, you take responsibility. Once you step up, take responsibility for that. No one else is going to save you, basically. Like, draw a line in the sand, step up, take responsibility. It is your choice. You have that power of choice to make your life what you want it to be. And like you said, no one wants to stay stuck where they are, feeling miserable, guilty, stressed, sick, unhappy in relationships. Like, no one can change that for you. It's that choice. I'm going to make the choice to step it up, level it up. It might take me years, it might take me 10, 20 years, but each day, if you're just focused on up leveling just that tiny little bit, and being brave, being courageous, that's all you can do. Yeah.
And I think it can be difficult in a world of perfectionism, in a world of filters, in a world of social media, that because we don't have a huge following, because you don't have as many clients as you'd like, you're not impacting people. But Jodes, we know in the online space, it's the quiet ones. You know, it's the people that are just constantly watching in the background that just gain. And your impact is your role as a role model and change maker in our life as a woman, especially as a mum, is to just impact one woman or one person. And that person doesn't have to be a paying client. It could be someone down the street that you smiled with, you know, passed in the street. It is really important to really think softly and gently and calmly about your impact. and how that is happening for your ripple effect as well. Okay, when you start to really come into a centered place of alignment of what feels good for me and everyone else, how are your kids benefiting from you being in a better mood? How are your kids benefiting from you spending time with them presently? How are your kids and your relationship changing? What conversations can you have? You know, we were talking just before that I am heading off next week to do a spiritual retreat. It's an absolute bucket list item for me. This wouldn't be possible if I didn't repair the connections in my relationships, because it's a two-way street. I'm now handing the baton over of being mum to my husband and my boys, and that's a big thing for them. Okay, it's a massive thing for me too, but that's because we've repaired and worked on our conversation and our connection, and it's respectful, and that didn't happen overnight. That's been a multitude. We've been married 13 years now. It's probably been like that for 20 odd years. It just came to a head a few years ago. And that's where a conversation, don't be scared to have the conversation. Let people in, because unfortunately, we think everyone else knows how we should feel. We think that everyone knows when we're not happy or when we're sad and not feeling our best. But everyone's living in a scrolling society. No one actually picks up on that anymore. Okay, so let people know. Just let people know.
Yeah, and I think that thing, finding your voice. I'm listening to something on Spotify at the moment, and it's about helping women to find their voice and speak up and learn how to communicate and not be scared of what happens when you do speak up, because that was an issue for me. And funny side story is that I've been married 20 years this November coming, which is just crazy. But I wouldn't even, in the beginning of our marriage, I wouldn't even choose what I wanted to eat when we went to a restaurant or a cafe or something, because I was so scared to even voice my opinion of what I would like to eat, in case I chose something that was wrong as such, or it came out and it was yuck, and, what was I going to do? And it was this whole fear mentality and weird stuff going on, because I couldn't even use my own voice to order food. Like, that's how so many women could be feeling right now. And it's such a process, and just taking those small steps of working on owning your voice and setting those boundaries and speaking from the heart. It's such powerful work that you do in this space with women and helping them with that. It's so important.
Yeah, it is. And it's also helping women realize that you don't have to have it figured out. You don't have to know everything. I feel like since we've come out of COVID, we feel like the world obviously has changed, and it's never going to go back to what we knew. And we feel like we're losing grip on, we should be across everything. Everything's changing so quickly. I'm out of touch with so many things. But I want to ask you, do you really need to be across everything anymore? Is this more of an opportunity for you to pick what you really want to be involved in? And letting stuff go, because that's going to shift your focus and your presence. Jodes, you were just mentioning before, your eldest is in year 12 right now. So you're on a huge, I've got my eldest is in grade 6. So I'm still in the cool part. Yours is venturing into the next stage of life, and you don't have to know everything for him. You don't need to have everything planned out. Yes, we want to make it easy for them, but this is a learning environment as well. And that's a big change for you too.
Oh, it's massive. And like you just said, then letting go, letting go of that grip on your child.
I don't know how you're doing it, Jodes.
You've raised them for so long, and it's kind of surrendering to the process. And I was speaking with his teacher earlier this week, and she kind of kindly reminded me that, he's 17, almost 18, and, allowing them to make some decisions and things like that. It's just that next step and that next level of growth, venturing into something that nothing about, like you said. And I think for mums, it really is about, if you're questioning if you're a good mum, then you are a good mum, because you just are. There is no perfect, there's no right or wrong. You're doing the best with what you have at this time. So kind of celebrate what you have, who you've raised, these amazing human beings. I just don't think we do that enough as women, celebrating the tiny little moments, throughout our day, really builds up our strength and our courage to keep going, for sure.
Yeah, and it's not just celebrating what you've done or how you've raised your kids. It's how you've, like you said, gotten through your day. Not every day is a perfect day. There is
No.
many times in the last few months where I've been on the floor crying and had a little tantrum. I had one last Friday. Threw my hands in the air, had a moment, messaged my coach, said, I'm done. It's all getting chucked in the bin. And that was just a little voice in my head 5 years ago triggering me. Now I'm all fine. I'm all good. But we don't recognize the progress we've made. We don't recognize that, yeah, our kids are difficult when they're with us, but maybe are they polite when they're not with you? Because if they're angels when they're not with you, Mum, you've done a great job.
True.
Yeah.
So true.
If they're good when they're not with you and they're home and they're feeling comfortable, then that's where you need to let it go. Like you said, Jo, it's just surrender. You've done all that you can. And that's really interesting. A couple of things that Jodes and I hope you've picked up on is small daily habits. It's been mentioned a few times. And like Jodes mentioned, it doesn't have to cost you anything at all. There are 5 non-negotiables that I do every day. And it's drinking water, getting out in the sun, getting some air, moving my body in some way, shape, or form. And it's listening or writing good news. So 4 of those things you can actually do at once. When you go for a walk outside, you're actually knocking off 4. So, Jodes, for mums that are feeling guilty about taking 15 minutes of their time to prioritize them, how do you coach your clients through them finding 15 minutes of their time?
It's just so important, that 15 minutes. And in the beginning, when you're first starting this for the first time, it can feel so guilty. How dare I take 15 minutes when there's so much to do on my to-do list and all the things and all the people need me. But like we said earlier, you're no good to anyone unless you're filling your own cup first. So it's really asking yourself great questions and realizing what are the benefits of me just taking this 15 minutes for myself are that I'm going to be happier. And that's going to flow onto them. It's that ripple effect again. So just starting with that 15 minutes is just incredible across your whole life. So for me, my non-negotiables are making my bed. It's so simple, but it really does change my whole mood throughout the day. And when I'm going about the house or in and out of the house or wherever you're heading and you walk home and, your bed is perfectly made, that's a big tick for me, and it makes me feel calm. Getting outside for some sunshine. When you're eating your lunch, why not eat your lunch outside? Flick your shoes off, pretend you're a little kid, sit cross-legged on the grass and soak up some energy from the earth and from the sun and detox all the bad back out into that grass and get rid of it. Something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be hard. And in the beginning, I remember hearing, oh, you need to do this self-care and you need to do all these things. And there was these long lists of all this stuff, and it was really overwhelming for me. So I just encourage you to start really small. What's one thing that you can try today? It might just be making a cup of tea.
Yep. It might just be, like you said, Jones, it might just be having a coffee. It might just be sitting outside. If you and your partner are both working from home, it could just be having lunch outside together for 15 minutes. It's hard when you go out for date nights and when finding things to talk about about that are not the kids or the house or work. Do break it down. Don't wait for date night to do it. Have a coffee or have a lunch together outside. But Jodes, what you said is amazing. Sit outside. The energetics of sunlight on your soul and on your being and on your skin and what it does to reframe your negative thoughts is impactful on so many levels. Do some looking into it and look at the energetics of recoding, and sunlight does so much goodness for you because you get to then focus in on how it feels on your skin. You then close your eyes and put your head back and you start to tune into the world around you. It's so important. But Jodes, your tips, they're awesome. They're amazing. And I love what you said, that you do feel guilty and not feeling overwhelmed for taking time for you and not choosing the right thing, I think is important.
Yes.
Because you see so many people on their phone saying, this is my self-care. And it's not, self-care is not a bubble bath. Self-care is not facials. Self-care for me is actually saying no and actually sitting with a hot cuppa doing nothing.
Yep.
That's what my
Yes.
self-care is, because that's what I need to stop and break the pattern of needing to do more, because I've been programmed that doing more means I'm successful, which means I can earn money. That's just how my brain is conditioned. And so many women feel the same. So
Yes.
it's really important. It's weird, isn't it, Jodes? You would find that with clients too.
Yes. And no is a full sentence.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to explain yourself like, oh my goodness, I'm so guilty of that.
Yep.
Trying to, so I want to say no to something, but this whole people pleasing thing comes up and it's a big sentence, and I give them my life story of why I'm saying no. It's been a process to unlearn that habit and really put myself first. Yeah.
And it's going to be a habit that is lifelong, because you never get over your fears. You just get better at responding to the triggers. Yeah. You get faster at responding to them. Your reframing is quicker. You get say, no, that's a rubbish story. I'm not listening to that. But the fears will always be there. And as you up level, they grow a little bit more too. And that is where it tries to trick you out. Massive fan of meditation, and anything that is under 10 minutes is a great thing that works for me, because I cannot focus more than that.
Yep.
Where I have some behavioral problems that I probably, as 40-year-old woman, need to get sorted out.
Yeah. But it's so good to acknowledge that too. 10 minutes is enough for me in the beginning. 3 minutes was enough for me. The length of like a song, you would hear on the radio, was long enough for me in the beginning. And it's a new habit that you're learning. So do what works for you and be okay with that. Just because some guru on Instagram's telling you need to meditate for half an hour, 2 hours. If that doesn't work for you, that doesn't work for you.
And I'm a fidgeter, so I get really uncomfortable really quick, and then it's all downhill from there. Then the kids are taking my headphones out and trying to listen to what I'm doing, and I've lost the plot. So that doesn't work in my house. So ladies, to release guilt, please meditate, find someone, check out what there is. If you're looking for some stuff, I've just done a 5-day course in my group that is for free. You can check out what I've recorded. Journaling is huge. Break it down into 3 questions a day. What do I intend to do today? How is this going to impact me? And what am I most proud of today? Keep it really, really simple. Jodes, have you got some favorites you like to?
I absolutely love those, what you've said. The one that I'm doing at the moment, and you could do it in a journal sense, but it's when I wake up, I'm thinking about it and what is my word for the day? What is my intentional word of how I want to feel for the day? Is it a busy day? Is it a slow day? Or I wouldn't use the word busy, but do I want to feel balance? Those powerful words that you can think about throughout your day, whether I want to be, productive, or whether I'm just having a quiet day. It's really important to be intentional with your time and how you want to feel throughout your day.
Yeah. And that's really important for those of us who feel overwhelmed, who wake up and instantly think, oh my gosh, what have I got on today? Embodying a word means that you're choosing your attitude of what you're bringing to the day. And when I was working in corporate, I didn't harness that at all. I didn't harness that choice, Jodes, to steal your word, of choosing my attitude. I was combating right from the start, because I was under the pump from the minute I woke up to the minute I left. It was under the pump.
Because you're being reactive, because you haven't got in tune with yourself and what you want for the day. So people are just coming at you with their requests and their needs, and you're just, belting them back with the cricket ball in an angry way.
And lack of boundaries.
Yes.
Lack of boundaries was why I got as far as I did in my corporate career, because I said yes to everything. And I felt guilty for it, but putting yourself last was all I knew. So that worked well for me then. Now it doesn't, which is nice. And to every mum, I want to leave you with this little piece of advice before Jodes and I share some tips, is this. You are not the only one who feels like you are struggling right now. Please don't feel guilty because you feel like you are failing as a mum. Look at the current climate across your house, the country, and across the globe. everyone is struggling right now in some way, shape, or form. It is not just you. So don't ever feel guilty for saying no, feeling like you have to pull back on a few things, or you're not providing in a way you did 12 months ago, 3 years ago. Please don't. It is just a moment in time. It shall pass, but stick to what you are comfortable and feeling safe with. And please don't feel guilty, because I know a lot of people are starting to really feel into the guilt, and the scarcity mindset that is being built at the moment is going to do more damage than riding the wave, like Jode said. So please don't feel guilty for what you are going through. We are all struggling. I'm struggling with things. Jodes, you've probably got things going on as well. Those that are creating beautiful, pretty pictures on Instagram have a team providing that for them. They're probably sitting back having a down day. Yeah. So don't ever think that no one else is feeling how you are. It might just be a little bit different, and we'll just tag team on the days. So that, I hope, takes a little bit of comfort for you if you're listening to this as well. So as Jodes and I close off on our little chat today, Jodes, you're massive on time management. Your time blocking is impeccable on most days when we've got our stuff to do. What are some stress relief and time management skills some of our mums who are listening feeling a little bit guilty that they're not balanced where they want to be? What can they do to bring a bit more balance to their life?
Yeah, I think it's really important to be realistic. First of all, getting everything that's in our mind. When your mind feels cluttered, you're just going to feel so overwhelmed and you're not productive with anything. So getting it down on a piece of paper. Claire and I are both list makers with our highlighters. Like, we are set. But I think the key to making a list and being productive and balanced and feeling in charge of your life or in control of your life is just picking the top 3 things for the day. 3 things is all you need to complete for today. And then you do a little happy dance and you speak to yourself like you would to your child. Well done. You did it. I'm so proud of you. Whatever else is left on that list will still get done. But Claire always says this to me: the world will not end if you don't complete that whole list today. So breathe.
Breathe. The world will still, the sun will still rise. Only I say that because that used to get told to me every day when I was working in corporate, and I'd freak out.
Yeah.
So I'm passing the message down. That is great advice, Jodes. That's awesome.
Yes. And also the breathing, though, that is something that I'm working a lot with my clients at the moment, whether it is stress, sleep, list making, whatever, weight loss as well, any aspect of your life that you're working on. Deep diaphragmatic breathing will be a game changer for you mentally, but also physically, because going back to feeling safe, when you can deep breathe and your body feels safer and calmer, everything is going to flow so much better.
Yep. And it's something that doesn't cost a lot of money, because again, we feel guilty for spending any time, energy, or money on us. But it's about breaking the pattern. And that is when you look into the world of neurolinguistics and even psychology, it's all about breaking state and breaking patterns. So those of us that have the moments that we have struggles and freakouts and moments the same as you, we have the same triggers. It's just that we breathe a little bit better. We know to go outside at the minute we start feeling that angst, that pit that sits under your stomach. When we feel that energy rise, we go and break that state. So that is something that you're going to have to start to practice and get better at, and finding something that suits you, whether it's breathing, whether it's walking outside, journaling, it might be listening to something straight away, something that breaks your state. That is really important, because that's going to help you move past your trigger and move on to the next thing. Okay, it's folding that piece of paper up. Okay, it happened, move on. That's a really great tip too. And it doesn't cost anything, because we're all here to find some cheap options at this moment in time, aren't we, Jodes?
Yeah, exactly. And I think also with breaking state and realizing, like you said before, we're all going to have fears forever. We're all going to have triggers. We're going to have challenges in life, but it's how long you stay in it for. You can have a little hissy fit, lay on the floor, have a cry like you did, but each time that happens and you get stronger, it's going to be shorter and shorter. And I think that's what you're aiming for. We're not aiming for a perfect life without challenges, without triggers, without fears. We're aiming to be stronger and being able to deal with it a lot easier, I guess.
Yeah. And that's where courageous women have curated circles, have inner circles that are chosen people because they know that they can vent without judgment, without fixing, without solutions. That is what may be setting you apart from other women you may be looking at. They've got these moments where they don't necessarily pick up the phone. It can just be in a voice message. It can be, this is what I do with my clients. It's have a group where you feel safe to voice what you need to voice.
Yep.
And you need the reassurance, because all you're asking for at that moment of absolute mental breakdown is reassurance that you're not broken. Okay, you're not broken. It's just tough. And this is what I need you to do to break out of that. And I think that's really important, because it's that's what I found for me. It was knowing that I wasn't the only one going through this, that I wasn't broken. And that makes it so much more easier as well, to cope with what we've got to do.
Yeah, and you've just hit a really important point there that I think would be useful for your listeners or anyone who listens to this in the future, is asking at the beginning of that conversation, and whether you're talking with your partner, your husband, your sister, mother, anyone, being clear at the get-go and just saying, look, I'm having a moment. I just need you to listen now. And then saying it allows them to relax and sit back and know that they don't have to have a solution for you. And I never knew that for the first 35 years of my life. And, you know, when you get frustrated because someone's trying to tell you how to fix you, but you don't need fixing. You just want them to listen. And I think that's a really important thing for all women to learn, that you can say that at the beginning. I'm just having a moment. I just need you to listen. Or I'm having a moment. Could you give me your advice? Like, being very clear on what you need from the conversation is just, it's so powerful.
Yeah. And it's also creating comfort to the person that you're speaking to, that it's not their fault, that they're not the contributing factor for that, that you're almost, sorry, I'm going to have to say, it's almost like you're apologizing before, just comforting them that they're not going back, oh, hang on a sec, where did this come from? You know, it's breaking that ice, because like we said, not everyone understands what we're thinking all of the time. And, you know, we might have our hissy fit at the moment when our partners are in the middle of something completely different, and we might feel like we are completely out of line. But for us, it feels normal. Because we've been overthinking these things. So it's coming down to that communication, that connect, and finding your safe space, your safe people, your safe circle. And that takes time. That's not going to be a conversation you need to pull out straight away. It's going to be something that takes time to curate. And once you create that and you nurture that and you grow that, life changes so much better. It's all about acceptance and reassurance for both parties as well, because that's what our kids need. If you really look at it, that's what we give our kids, and that's what we should be getting back as well.
Yes. Yeah, powerful.
Awesome. Oh, see, told you, Jones, 45 minutes.
Wow.
Sometimes it goes for 10, sometimes it's an hour. And I said to you guys at the top of this that Jones and I have probably got about 4 seasons of this podcast we could have done over the years. So lovely. Thank you so much. Your voice, your reasoning, your relatability is going to be amazing. To everyone that's following, I will drop Jodes' links to Instagram and socials. Please go and show some love. Find some tips that Jodes is sharing. She's working on some really amazing things at the moment and is a queen in Canva. So if you're looking for pretty motivating images, your person will be Jodes, because she does amazing things as well. So Jodes, thanks for chatting with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Claire. Like you said already, we could talk about this stuff till the cows come home. But yeah, I trust that it was really useful for your listeners to, you know, hear that they're not alone, and that's the main thing. We're all in this together, and we can just keep going forward.
Absolutely. So ladies and everyone listening, thank you so much. I trust that you've loved this episode. Please make sure when you see the link, come through and share it on your socials. Make sure you tag Jodes and I so we show some love as well. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. I'll catch you all soon.